Hi, family. Oh gosh, I always greet like this. Hi, family, and welcome back to my imperfect part. Sorry, I'm just thinking of something else now. My imperfect path to perfection with me, Zoliswa Kosachi. So I'm doing a lot of content, so I must always check which one am I doing now. So for today, as we said, we are doing my imperfect path to perfection with me, Zolisa, which is part of our wellness, being our Wellness Wednesday. And yeah, seeing that I had the reason why I'm all over the place is I had another video for today for this episode. We are on episode 3 today, so I had another video for this episode, but I just remembered that I needed to first finish off Women's Month, and then after that I could get to the whole spring festival, spring fun, and so on. So for today, we are ending. Actually, today is the first. I'm late. Yesterday was the 31st of August, which was the last day of Women's Month, which in South Africa we celebrate Women's Month, which is August. So the whole August was dedicated to women. Yippee. And for today, as we're saying goodbye to Women's Month, we are talking about the status of a woman in South Africa. How are our women? How are our women thriving? How our democracy brought new meaning, new lifestyles for women, or what does it mean to be a woman in South Africa post 1994? So, as you all know, I'm also a woman. And one of the things which made me think of this topic is we all condolences to through the families and the loved ones of the people which perished in the fire in Joburg at the Meshville town place, because apparently there what was happening is people which decided that they're going to make up their own places to stay inside a building, and they were actually there's people which are renting out that space to people which are desperate for places to stay. And also what caught my attention is that the building which burned down, which was hijacked, which you call it hijacking, property hijacking, was first a women and children shelter before it became that ran down whatever business. And I think the reason why that place closed down is because there was no funds. So all those women and children which were staying there, I'm not sure what happened to them after the whole place was closed down and these new members came in. And in the same breath with the building, there has been a lot of issues with the building because 2019 somebody was arrested for building hijacking, and yeah, but we're not talking about that building. The reason why we are interested in the building is because part of what we are discussing is looking at the state of women in South Africa is also to ask how many shelters, safe places are there for women which find themselves in intolerable situation, women which knows that they can't go back, because believe you me, as a woman it's very hard when you see places which are supposed to, I mean, to help women and children, and they've been neglected and they end up being health problems and also life-threatening disasters. It's not good, because if you talk about women in South Africa, I kind of feel like when it comes to women and children, we really should do better. Our government should really do better, because nothing much has changed. The majority of women are the ones which are which are relying on what grants, social grants to raise their families. I'm not saying social grants are wrong, but all I'm saying is that if we check how the majority of women, the majority of people who get a social grant for the household, it's women which have children without fathers. It's women which are taking care of their homes and so on. And yeah, when it comes to also the working space, it's women which are still left with lesser than the men, whether they're doing the same work as men or whether they are in a higher position, which you never find for a woman to be in a higher position than a man. Whether they're in a higher position but they'll still get paid less. We're talking about pink tax, whereby as a woman product costs more than a man's product. It could be the same product, whether to shave a shaving machine, the same thing, which it for a man it's 10 rand, for a woman it will be 20 rand just because it's cute. So we're also talking about those. We don't have money to sustain ourselves, but everything that makes a woman is expensive. We've got condoms all over the world for free, including here in South Africa. But only few countries have women's sanitary towels, women health for free, whereby as a woman, if you want to go do a pap smear, if you want to have a packet of sanitary towels, you can just go somewhere and fetch it, because the government understand that in this whole country we've got people which are called women, and these are the women needs. When it comes to the government, I always wonder who takes care of the woman needs around. Sorry, I told you with the flies. Who take care of the woman needs, like for real? Because women these days, they intend to become like men. They're strong, they're tough, they're not tender, caring, loving. Because also they also feel like for them to belong, whether in the workspace, whether in the business space, they have to lose that softness which makes them and become the counterpart of the males, which is all about ego driven and so on. As a woman, we don't have an ego. We care, we are kind, we are loving. Even if you have to start a business, your business is not supposed to be screaming, breaking people down and so on. It's all about developing people, making people feel like they are part of something, growing people's abilities to make your business better and bigger. So that's what it takes for women to be in charge, not with arrogance, screaming, narcissism, and so on. Because the other thing which I realize is when it comes to our leaders, you can't really tell if they understand what they're doing, that they understand that they are there because of the people, not because of their own selves. Yeah. But then it's supposed to be the democracy for the people, by the people. But if you look at things now, there's majority of people which feels left out, and women and children are in that majority of people which feels like they're being left out by our government, by our South African government. Because even if you look now, you will find out that a grandmother in the Eastern Cape, in the rural KwaZulu-Natal, is still taking care of the grandchildren, and they don't have any means of getting help because the children don't have birth certificates. The grandmother doesn't have an ID, and then it's gonna be a big wow thing where they're gonna in invite media when they go and help that family, and not looking at the fact that but the government is the one which is failing. If there could be people in this day and age without IDs, without documents for them to get their basic human rights needs. So when it comes to our government and trying to understand, does our government understand though that even in as a woman, when you're trying to start a business, there's certain businesses which you can't really go into because it's male dominated businesses. So already as a woman you feel like, why do I even bother? Because at the end of the day, I won't even be given an opportunity or chance, not because I can't do this. Some maybe know I can do this and I can do it very well, more than the males around, and others just don't want a woman to tell them what to do. So when it comes to women in South Africa, it's sad because in Africa, in African kingdoms, if you go anywhere, it used to be women used to be your moral compasses. It used to be women which used to make decisions. When women were respected, because the one thing was known is that as a woman, you're the one which gave birth to whether a boy or a girl child. So when it comes to making decision, women always try to be fair because they know both this male and female, it's my responsibility as a woman. So when it came to women were taken care of, women and children were taken care of. Unlike now, where you live in a country where you need to be strong as a woman, there's nothing wrong with being strong as a woman, but this thing of you can't really have your guard down and relax and be who you are freely without even being questioned. I'm telling you, stories which still keeps on coming up about women being gender-based violence and all of those things. Every time something wow and horrible happens, we go out there, oh, justice for what, oh, free what, oh, imbokodo, what in dabafaz, what in imbokot. At the end of the day, all of those is just lip services. Where are the right channels for women to go when they need help? What is being done by South African government for women, for the well-being of our women in South Africa? How many women can say that I have benefited a lot with the new South Africa without being connected? I'm not talking about people which are connected to the politicians. I'm talking about a rural woman in the Eastern Cape which says that the government has helped me to maintain my homestead, and from my homestead I'm making money because I have a dairy farm, because my father left me cows. Now the cows, the government has helped me to turn that into a dairy farm. I haven't heard those stories, but we hear stories about women dying. It was Women's Month now, and the images which were going on our social medias, on our televisions, were, especially in the Western Cape, were women shoving themselves into buses, women walking long distances trying to get to work and back from work because there was no transport. And that all happened in a Women's Month. And there was not even maybe a certain plan which they said, okay, seeing that there's no transport, all women can go report to the nearest police station, and the police officers or whatever will try to help them to get home, whether they were going to the police station or going to drop them at the nearest police station where they stay, and at least they will feel safer. None of those were done, but then at the end of the day, we want to celebrate a woman's worth. We want to celebrate how much women are doing. We're not even going to women in sports. We only talk about women in sport when something wonderful happens, when these women must make our country proud, when these women must shine South African flag high. Here is a typical example. Banyana Banyana versus Bafana Bafana. We haven't heard much about Bafana Bafana winning strike and so on in a long time. But when it comes to them getting their money and getting paid well, they don't have a problem. Bafana Bafana don't have a problem with fans and sponsors. But go to Banyana Banyana. Banyana Banyana has been playing great sports. You name it. They went to World Cup. They qualified for the they went to they won the CAF, the African Cup of Nations. I remember. I think I'm right. And then from there, now they were playing the World Cup and so on, which is great though. But then before anything could happen, there was already disagreements and so on about the funds, about the monies and so on. Oh, until Uncle of the Nation had to step up and give some funds. It's cool that okay, Patrice Motsepe could afford to come in at the last minute and give the money for. But the problem is not that somebody must always be there to just at the last minute to say, oh, here's the money. The thing is, why is there no regulations on how Banyana Banyana is getting paid? How much are they getting paid? When are they getting paid? Why when it's women which wants to shine, there's always excuses, there's always stories, because it's like Bafana could do no wrong as much as they are disappointing us like Mabena. We can't say, but can't you take away their bonuses? Can't you take away this so that they can learn that they need to win or they need to take the sport serious? So when it comes to this whole women in sport, women in business, women in communities, just women in general, it's just sickening and sad, because as a woman you still have to show how strong you are. You must show that I'm not even going to go to the different women, black women, colored women, Indian women, white women, because if you have to go there, that's even a problem. Black women are still calling white women madams. Black women are still working as domestic workers for white women. Black women, very few black women can make it into being business women's of the year, especially if you're not connected to anybody, then forget about it. So when it comes to women, it even goes deeper and further as well, because you might find out, yes, I'm a woman. These are just the tip of the iceberg of the things which I've mentioned about women in sport, women at the workplace, and so on, women in communities. Now, when you have to break down that woman, now you have to know that there's a woman which stays in Mitchell's Plain, there's a woman which stays in Khayelitsha, there's a woman which stays in Constantia, Camps Bay, Simonstown, and then all of those women, they've got different problems, all of them. The woman in Camps Bay's problem is, how do I grow my business? How do I invest, or how do I find investors internationally? The woman which is in Khayelitsha is trying to say, how do I keep my family safe? How do I make sure that there's food on the table for the whole week, and so on? The woman in Mitchell's Plain is stressed, worried about, how do I even let my children go to school when there's guns going on all the time? Children are growing up around gangsters. It's normal. Everybody knows in whatever colored black township there's gangsters. Things which are not supposed to be, because as women we stress about everything. You wouldn't be fine at work as a woman knowing very well that yesterday I just saw 2 people being shot, being gunned down along the road, and the same way my child must pass there today to go to school. Even if your child is at school, the minute you hear that there was gunshots going around the community, you're already on your nerves. Also, those people which died on the fire in that building, the children there, actually, obviously, if there's children, there's women. So how did those women and those children started to stay in that building? And you might find out that the parents were working and they didn't have enough money to get a proper place to stay. And also the government. Yes, I hear about the government, say, blaming the NGOs, but the problem is when the government are evicting the people from those buildings, the NGOs goes and go find a court interdict for those people to get back there, which is not like that. The problem is the government wants to chase the people out of those buildings and not find them another place to stay. So if the government is going to remove all of these people in these unsafe, hijacked buildings, they must make sure that they know where they're going to place those people, because they can't take people out even if it's not even a proper structure building. But you can't take somebody from under the black plastic bag and go throw them into the street for them to just lie there openly with no with no shelter over their head. So we're still talking about, what do we celebrate as women? What can we say we're celebrating as women? Because even these days, teenage pregnancy, we still talk about teenage pregnancy, and that's also our little girls, our young girls, which are supposed to be the future. How is our future looking like when we're looking at the state of our young women? Are we proud? Are we sure that all of those women which were in Bogoto, which were there in the front line saying women power, girl power, did their best, and their best is showing? Are we going to have a woman president anytime soon? Because that also feels like it's like a taboo. Nobody in South Africa wants to discuss a woman president. And all of those women which are there on top, I'm not saying there's any one of them which I kind of feel like is worth it. That's why I don't really mind when they do not see any of themselves as president, because they wouldn't bring anything new to the table, to just being like the male colleagues. So even when it comes to women in leadership, we don't have women in leadership. We've got those mothers in parliament which agree with whatever those men are saying. The only thing which they do is say yes, yes, and eat. For example, check now departments which are run by women. We have a problem with the education department, not just now. It's something which has happened for years and years and years and years. And who's in charge? It's a woman. And if I tell you how difficult it is to get that woman to come to you in meaningful engagement and so on, you'll think I'm lying. She doesn't even give herself the time. If you say, okay, we don't want to go and protest now, we want to call a meaningful engagement, you will invite the office and so on, and nobody will pitch up. And we're supposed to discuss our children's education, our children's future, whereby the person which is in charge of the education is not even giving us a place and time and date, because they just do not feel like they owe us anything. And that's supposed to be the people, the government for the people, by the people, the same government which will tell you that you do not meet the standards of world citizens because you can't even follow simple bylaws. The reason why this is happening is because people do not want to follow bylaws. Like, for real, do you say that in a place whereby people are stressing, are crying, they've lost their lives, for the mere fact that those people were able to stay in that building and nothing has been done to them, and nobody came and said, you're not supposed to stay here? Now, we're not talking about in terms of being nasty or being bad to people. In terms of health, because if the health inspectors went and checked and see what was going on in that building, they could have evict everybody concerning health now, not because of place to stay, whatever, property law and so on, but now with health. Because when it comes to health, there's certain things whereby you can't wait until tomorrow. If that place needed to be fumigated, if that place needed to be whatever, those people were supposed to have come out of the... So it also boils down to the government. The government is not doing enough for the people which they promised to take care of. Anyway, we're still talking about the state of our women in South Africa, seeing that we're celebrating Women's Month, and a lot happened whereby women's rights are being violated every single day, every single minute in South Africa. And you feel like, as a woman, it's either you become ratchet, because that's the one thing now. You can't be a lady in South Africa and enjoy your life and do things at your own time and know that when I'm ready for this, I can just go there and ask for help, and somebody's gonna be there for me to, or somebody's gonna be there to guide me. You can't even go to somebody which has walked the road before and say, hey sis, I need some guidance, I need some help, because there's no those people. Everybody's angry, everybody wants to be ratchet, everybody wants to be famous for something which is pathetic. That's how much we've lost hope in ourselves as women as well, because we are depressed. We drink more than which we should or we could. All this time which we're supposed to be given skills development and so on to help and build our communities, is the time whereby Savania Biza and so on. So how as women do we fit in our country? I wish on our next Women's Month and so on, the government will do a review, like they said that last time they busy with the 2019 elections, they're doing a review. Hopefully next year when it's time for Women's Day, Women's Month, they can do a review on what has the South African government done for women ever since 1994 till now. We do not want to hear about your connected people where they've got first names of ex-exile members, where people which got surnames of democratical prisoners, whatever's. We don't want that. We want stories of ordinary people, women, which has said that I came from nothing. I was raised by a domestic worker. Now I'm running a top-class international business thanks to the government. Because even at schools, it's still women which drop out before time, going back to teenage pregnancy. Why even in this time and era, in this day and time, we're still facing women teenage pregnancies? And this time around, it also goes with HIV. More and more women and younger women are becoming HIV positive. And the worst part is there was this phenomenon of now women need to date older guys because older guys got money and so on. That didn't slow down. It happened more, and when we are left with teenage pregnancies and high cases of HIV, we don't understand why. That's because men are in charge, and when men are in charge, they take what they want, they use what they want. They don't care about the future. Men care about how they can boost their ego today. And it's said that there's women which are with those men which are supposed to be in charge of us as women, and those women will keep quiet and not be our mouthpiece and our spokesperson as women, to tell the men that, look, this is not how you treat our girl child. This is how this is our future leaders. This is how we want our girl children to be. We want a woman president soon. So if we are looking for a woman president, where are we going to get that woman president if all our girls are leaving school, falling pregnant, if all our girls are dying of HIV? Who is going to be, if all our girls, the only thing they know is just to behave ratchet and twerk their lives away? Thereby, there's no conscious activists which stand up for women's rights. We're not burning bras and so on now, but we wanna be part of the decision making. We want to be part of decision making members, if there is such a thing, because you can't keep on making decisions for women, and at the end of the day, women still feel like nothing really is changing here. We're just becoming more and more oppressed each day, and sometimes it kind of feels like it's women like us which oppressed us. As I said, you go to a business place, instead of another woman getting excited for seeing another woman in this space which is male dominated, they get jealous. They the ones to be gatekeepers and not allow you to get in there because they kind of feel like the space is not enough for all of you. Or sometimes they kind of feel like if it took them 10 years to get there, why would it take you a year for you to even be in front of that door, which it took them 10 years to do so. So when it comes to women in trying to be strong, making your way into this South Africa, it takes very few women which makes it. And most of the times now, one thing which I've shown is you have to be politically connected for you to be taken serious, because we've seen people which have connections, which are connected, which can sell an ice in ice. They can sell an ice in an ice chemo. They can sell fire in hell, not because they're good, because they've got backup connections, which it's your time now. So as a woman in South Africa, you kind of lose hope most of the times when you look at the things, when you're looking at how our children are suffering as well. Because you send your child to school, as I said, it's not guaranteed that the child is going to come back. You as a woman, you work in a school, it's not guaranteed that somebody's child is not going to attack you, or you're not going to be robbed. Not now the child attacking you, you're not going to be robbed at school, because you can be gun pointed at school, you can be killed in your class while you're still teaching. Everything can happen. So being a woman, it's very vulnerable. But on the same breath, I'm not saying that as women we must lose hope and not feel like living our best lives and so on. But I'm just saying our government needs to start checking its facts, that are we really doing enough for our citizens, and especially our vulnerable citizens? Because the government likes to mix itself in everything, but it doesn't create any solutions. It doesn't create any solutions. So if maybe they could just concentrate on children and women, or women and children, for at least once every month, once every year, which is the August month, whereby that month we go to women run businesses. That month we follow women in sport. That month we follow women which are making a difference, whereby we are really celebrating women. We really understand how hard it is for women to do things or to start things around, whether it's in your community, whether it's in your city. So hopefully our government will come and have women in visas, where they will go to all different kinds of women from rural areas, to go and hear their grievances and have meaningful engagements with all of those women. What do they lack? What are their hopes and aspirations for the future? What do they really love about the South Africa? Because you might find that some of us, we don't even mind to just pack and leave. If they could say there's a new country which has just been found, it's called whatever, Kuvuku land, I am so there. So yeah, family, without fighting, we don't fight anymore now, we just talk. So that's what has been on my mind, that yes, I understand we're celebrating Women's Month. It's been wonderful, it's been great. And I wish the governing party can stop beating its own chest and start listening to what the people are saying. And I'm not saying that the people are always right, or the people are always saying the right things, but then you can't have people which are saying the same problem and then you still think like there's no problem. The problem is them, not me. So the government of the day, it's not acting like a black government, let me just say so. ANC government has stopped knowing how it feels like to care. Ubuntu is just a word they use now when they're trying to get our votes. But when it comes to when they're interacting with people, there is no Ubuntu. It's just arrogance. So you have to be grateful that the president was there. The president stopped whatever he was doing to go and be there. Which president? The same president which we vote for. We have to be grateful. And then we have to be grateful when the president stops whatever he's doing for him to go and look at the mess which is created by his human settlement department. How do we do that? We have to be grateful for everything which the ANC does. We have to be grateful that within few minutes the fire started, the fire brigaders were there, the firefighters were there. Why would the firefighters be there in the first place if those people were not living there? If those people were living in proper structures away from that building, and if that building, the first purpose of it when it was the female, it was women and children shelter, if it was maintained and the funds were paid on time, that building would have still be a shelter now for women, not that disaster hellhole. So now when that happens, the people still need to see the government as, you don't force somebody to see you as caring. People see by your actions how caring you are. But you can't tell people that, oh, seeing that we jumped up when this happened. The firefighters are getting paid to go fight fires. They were going to go fight that fire even if it was anywhere else besides that building. Yes, it's not like they did a massive, amazing, great thing to be on time for the fires. Because if I was a president and I was there, firstly, I would apologize, and secondly, I'll be honest and say from here on, I'll be going to my departments, because my departments needs to give me some answers. How did people manage to stay here, and so on. So he doesn't really crack the whip, that one. He doesn't even really know what he is doing as a president sometimes. I just wish that we could stop taking rich people to be our leaders, because a rich person doesn't understand the problems of a poor person. And Cyril is just black because we need a black president, but his problems are different. He's dealing with millions every day. So do you think he's really, really committed into solving poor people's problems in South Africa? If you want to see him shining, take him international, take him to BRICS summits. That's when you see Cyril in his comfort zone. But when he has to go down to the people and so on, he gets confused. He gets like, he becomes uncomfortable. You can even see with him doing an interview that, do you get that these people which are in front of you now are looking up to you to give them some sort of hope? But you can't tell them that, no, my people are doing well because my people were here in very fast. Your people are not supposed to be there when there's problems. And yes, the problem with departments, they do not know the meaning of maintenance. They do not maintain anything, whether it's your public works or so on, nothing gets to be maintained. Instead of taking the maintenance money and go maintain the building or the stuff, it will be used for something else, or it will disappear. And yeah, so tell me, how within those 52 whatever hijacked buildings in there, how many were used for important stuff, like for example women's shelters, children's shelters, safe homes for the elderly and so on? How many people are now left stranded because of those hijacked buildings and so on? But yeah, people, we are not talking about hijacked buildings. We are talking about the state of women in South Africa. So who really understands women problems? Who really speaks women language? Who really speaks for us in this democracy? Because it's sad, it's really sad when you're looking at our mothers, for hope and inspiration for them to say, this got to stop. Our girl children can't drop out of school because of teenage pregnancies. And that's already 2023. That's the 1994 problem of teenage pregnancies, and we're still facing them now in 2023 with everything going on, with the technology going on. And on top of that, now we've got HIV as well, which is messing with our children's generation. So as women, we are stressing about the future, what kind of a future we are leaving behind, what kind of a future our children are going to have. So we are stressing about all of those things. Hopefully by next year, as I said, we'll do a review of Women's Month ever since 1994 till to date, and see what has been done so far when it comes to our women and children in South Africa. How protected are they? Are they safe? Which they're not, because I was giving you a story now. And it's also what opportunities are there for women, because yes, some can have a good story to tell, and others, they actually don't have nothing at all. So yeah, family, thank you very much for all the love and the support, and hopefully we'll be on time next week, because next week we're gonna focus all about spring cleaning, whether we're spring cleaning our lives, our souls, and so on. And as I said, for this week, we wanted to close off Women's Month and say it's been a great August. We're looking forward to warmer days, birds singing, flowers blossoming. And yeah, so to all the mothers out there, to all the sisters out there, the aunts, the grandmothers, remember you're all phenomenal women. Until we meet again, and thank you for all the love and the support. And please don't forget to share, comment, like this video. And thank you, family, for all the love and the support. Bye.